In Bakhmut, Zelensky's soldiers make significant gains against Putin. In an update, the Ministry of Defense said that the Ukrainian military had good results in the Bakhmut area. The US also considers the tank to be successful in at least 3 areas of the front, including Kiev's north and south of Bakhmut. Bakhmut has become the focus of violence in recent months as Ukrainian and Russian forces have launched artillery and rocket attacks in the trenches and across the border. Elsewhere, the White House considered the possibility of Ukraine joining NATO shortly after it announced it would send ballistic missiles to the Eastern European nation. The missiles will be dispatched for the first time during Ukraine's ongoing war with Russia, which will enter its 500th day this weekend ahead of next week's NATO meeting in Lithuania. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan told Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky that his country deserves to join the Western Bloc. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who is in Japan for the G7 meeting, denied that the Wagner Group and Russian forces captured the Ukrainian city of Bakhmut on Sunday, May 21. When asked by a reporter about the city's situation, Zelensky replied, "As of today, Bakhmut is not in the Russian Federation. We're not going to throw people away. Wait for death," he added, according to the Associated Press. The president's comments came hours after Reuters and other Western media reported, confirming the loss of the city. Asked whether Ukraine still controls Bakhmut, Zelensky replied, "I don't think so," Reuters reported. In a video he shared on social media, Ren announced that his army had captured the city with Russian troops. A few hours later, the Russian Ministry of Defense issued a statement: "The liberation of Artemovsk, known in Russian as Bakhmut, was achieved thanks to the attack of the Wagner shock forces, supported by the artillery and aviation of Army Group South. Russian and Ukrainian forces for more than 9 months. Thousands of people were lost on both sides and the size of the city fell to rubble. If Bakhmut is captured, it will be a huge boost to the morale of the Russian army because they haven't accomplished anything substantial since mid-2022. Ukraine, meanwhile, will likely lose some of the city, but the expected prolonged war will prevent Moscow from launching its own attacks, leaving its troops and equipment short. Chapter Bakhmut, a mining town in eastern Ukraine with a pre-war population of 70,000 to 80,000, was far from being one of the important cities during the military occupation. He has no major military job, no residence, so catching him is important. Best of all, Bakhmut is close to many important roads that could prove beneficial for Russia's advancement. But that's true for almost every city in the region. The meaning of Bakhmut is more symbolic than anything else. Phillips O'Brien, Professor of Political Science, St. Louis University. Andrews University in Scotland told NPR, "It looks like the only political election at 2 levels. Russia sees Bakhmut as the main target. Level 1, they just need one victory and they've spent months and months before sending it off. In the winter, they attacked in the early spring and saw nothing. But I think there is political rivalry in the Russian system as well. Therefore, these two Russias both need victory and dynamic competition in Russia's combat forces. But it seems that way." For Ukrainians, Bakhmut also symbolized their decision to fight against the Russian army. Moreover, they began to see the fighting in the city as a way to get rid of the Moscow army and equipment, especially before an attack. They calculated it right. The Russians will stop at nothing to take Bakhmut. Bakhmut has become so important that if you want to weaken the Russians, you have to take them out every block. So it was a terrible battle because they attacked building after building, he added. Brian. What to do now? As Ukraine prepares for a summer offensive or coup, the Russian army uses Bakhmut to capture two major cities in Donetsk. If they capture Bakhmut, Kramatorsk and Slovian stepping stone to SK. According to a report by Reuters in March, Moscow had to seize two cities to complete the so-called liberation of the Donetsk People's Republic. The report also said that Bakhmut's control would help Moscow move towards the town of Chasiv Yar, west of the city.